This video we're looking at the NBA slate for tonight. It's just a two-game slate starting at 5:30, so let's get started. As always, please hit the like on the video before we get into it and subscribe if you have not already. So we have a game 7 tonight, second game of the slate. It's going to be a fun one. First, we got the Celtics and Toronto. Starting off at point guard, we have Jamal Murray, who has just been magnificent this series. Played him last time, and I see no reason why not to play him again. 3 straight games over 67 fantasy points. He has 2 out of 3 where he scored over 50 points. He's playing over 40 minutes a game, 43 minutes. In this closeout game, probably could see like 43, 44 minutes again. And they just have no match for him. He's shooting over 50%, well over 50% from 3 this series. He's shooting over like 60% from the floor. He's just been unstoppable. And game 7, the ball's going to be in his hands the entire time. I see playing Jamal Murray and just moving on at point guard. I see that Kemba's been playing a lot better. He's been getting more assists. I think he looks like a reasonable option in the 7K range. If you need like another option to pay, or if you wanna don't want to play Murray, although I don't know why you wouldn't. But there are some other options like Murray, besides Murray, like Lowry and Walker. I have Conley at 6,800. He is been playing fine. Normally he's going to get you like 30s in fantasy points. Very rarely he'll go off for like 40s. And you're probably never going to get a 50-point game out of him. But 68 is a decent price tag. Guess you could easily make value. Then Smart looks pretty good at just 6K. The minutes were only 31 last game. That game, they didn't really need him. It kind of got out of hand late. But he played pretty well in the first half. Actually, he started making some threes. So that's a great sign after he just couldn't make a shot from 3 in the Sixers series. So it looks like he might be, if he gets a shot back, then he just becomes super more valuable because some of the other peripherals are going to be there, like rebounds and assists and the stocks. So, but Jamal Murray is just the favorite guy at that position. At shooting guard, I run it back with like a Donovan Mitchell. It's probably going to be the Murray-Mitchell show today. Game 7, I will be looking to see both of these guys just going back and forth. Neither team can stop either player. Mitchell's also been excellent. He has 44, 30, and 51 real life points. He's put up over 60 in 3 out of the 6 games. He has over 60. He had an 80-point game in there. He's just been awesome. He's been super more effective from shooting. I guess some heard that it could be like the courts that they're playing in. They're like a lot more conducive to shooters, and Murray and Mitchell are kind of making them right. So 99 for Mitchell is definitely expensive, but to game 7, these guys are going to play like 40 plus minutes easily. We have Van Fleet, who kind of got it done with the steals. He had 6 steals. Couldn't make a shot, though. 3 of 16, 2 of 11 from 3. 78, decent price tag, I guess. Like, he's in play. It's a 2-game slate. Mostly everybody's in play, but, I guess I probably would spend up a little bit more. Gary Harris played like 21 minutes in his first game back. Was a little bit rusty, had 5 fouls, but he's only 3,900. I guess you could look at him. He might get up to like 25 minutes in this one. Norman Powell, he's a guy that's kind of like a boomer bust play. The minutes are going to be around like 25 to 30, depending on how well he's playing. Last time out, Siakam was in foul trouble, so he got a little bit more run in the first half, but it kind of balanced out in the second half. So I'm normally expecting like 25 to 30 minutes out of Powell. I think it looks fine at under 5K. Moving on to small forward, we have Tatum at 92. I'm just prioritizing Murray and Mitchell over Tatum today, so probably won't be able to get all the way up to him. But I think Brown looks decent at 73. Then you have quite a cast of characters right in this 5K range. Jeremy Grant played 35 minutes. He shot the ball great, and then he just didn't get any rebounds. 1 rebound and 2 blocks. That was it. So disappointing that, normally if you shoot 6 of 9 from the floor, you're probably going to expect like 30 fantasy points. But the minutes are still pretty solid and consistent for him, so I don't hate him at 51. I mentioned Powell. I think OG is another reasonable option in that like high 4K range. The floor is pretty low, but the ceiling is also, every once in a while it'll go off, but the ceiling is normally around like 30 fantasy points in like a playoff setting, so I think he looks decent at 48. Royce O'Neal, I'm probably like least high on just because it's gonna be the Mitchell show now that Mitchell, Conley, Clarkson, they have so many guys that like take. He's like the fifth option on offense. So it's kind of it at small forward. I'll just skip over that position for now. At power forward, we have Siakam at 8K. I'm just not interested. Like I have not been impressed with Siakam in the last series. He had some decent games, but the Celtics are a much tougher defense than Brooklyn, and you just like I don't know if he'll be able to pay off 8K salary and get me what I need. Grant, I think he looks fine. 48 for OG. I think that looks pretty appealing as well. Right now, probably going in like that 5K range, and I think like Tice looks pretty reasonable. 5,200. Him and Williams are probably going to split the center minutes. He had 15 rebounds, so kind of had an outlier game in that department. But the Toronto plays pretty big. They always have Gasol or Ibaka on the floor at all times. They played a handful of minutes with them together. Siakam's also like a big three, so they're going to play big. They're going to need Tice and probably Robert Williams to play some minutes. Not like Brooklyn where they can go small once Allen was off the court. So I think Tice is going to see similar minutes. He also lost some minutes due to some foul trouble, but overall probably get like 27 minutes and then give Robert Williams like 15. At center, Jokic is 95. I think no problem with Jokic, but I just think that Murray and Mitchell kind of just like prove that they are the number one options right now for their team. So I'll go with Murray over Jokic. Gobert 79. It's just tough because he's not getting a ton of shots like he never does. Like under 10 shots per game, you're gonna need him to like have like a big game in blocks to like really pay off his price tag because he's not gonna shoot a lot. So I'm not really on to him. I think like Serge Ibaka at 6,200 gives you like plenty of upside in the ceiling at a really nice price point. He played 26 minutes. The game was out of hand later, so probably could have got like closer to 30. With Boston, it's pretty fine matchup. Like they can have some success rebounding, and like Ibaka has shown in that Brooklyn series that he has like monster upside to get like win you some like tournaments if he does go off because his shot's been falling. He's been making a bunch of threes, and we know he can get some blocks. Although it's kind of not as good as he was recently, but I mean in recent years. But he's still a decent shot blocker, and 62 is just a nice price point. Can get you a double. And then moving on to guard, I think Marcus Smart at just 6K looks like a pretty reasonable option. The minutes will probably be like 35 to like 40. That game was a blowout at the end, so didn't have to play much in the fourth. But he's been playing better in terms of like shooting. He shot over 50% in 3 straight games. He's pretty aggressive out there defensively. Rebounding and assist-wise numbers are going to be there. So 6K, a guy that can pretty reasonably expect 6x value from, and every once in a while they can go off for like 40 fantasy points. So I think Marcus Smart looks pretty reasonable. And then for value, there's like not a ton of value below 4K. Like I go look at Gary Harris, might look at like Craig, although I like Harris more than Craig. I think like Williams could be a good value play at 3,300. On the season, he's averaging well over a fantasy point per minute, and if you expect like 15 to like 20 minutes, depending on Tice and his foul trouble, then feel pretty confident that at 3,300 he'll be able to get you at least like high teens to low 20s in fantasy points. And there's like no value on the slate, so might as well take advantage of what we have. And Williams, playing him will allow you to pay up for like Mitchell and Murray in the same lineup, so you're not sacrificing a ton. So that's pretty much it for the Draftkings side. Focusing on Mitchell and Murray in that late game, and then trying to mix and match some of like the good prices that we have in that first game. So that's it for DK. Let's go over to Fanduel. Okay, on Fanduel at point guard we have Murray at 94. Like the price tag is still probably not high enough. Then you have Kemba. Position is pretty loaded. Like Kemba, Kyle Lowry, Conley all look like reasonable options, but Murray's at the top of the list. And then there's like no value at the position, so you're probably gonna want to spend up for like 2 out of the 4 guys. But Murray's my first guy that I like. At shooting guard, Mitchell's just 8,500. That price tag is really, really cheap for who knows what reason, but you should be like the first guy or second guy that you start your lineups with. Shooting guard is still have some decent option with Van Fleet and Smart. at 57 looks pretty nice, and Clarkson, but Mitchell can easily put up 60 today and be like the best point per dollar play on the slate. Small forward, probably won't get up to Siakam. I'm looking at like Brown, Grant, OG. It's one of those like three guys, or two out of those three I'll probably have. Right now, I'm looking at like Jeremy Grant, 51. I'm expecting much more than just one rebound, especially if he's playing 35 to 40 minutes again. Power forward, we have Serge Ibaka, looks pretty reasonable at 65. Then you have Tice at 53. Both of those guys look pretty fine. Then you're just going to have to hope that you can get lucky with the minutes if you want to play Millsap or Michael Porter. Or Royce O'Neal, I guess, is in play. But Tice, I think 53 just looks pretty good. And then last but not least, at center, we have Jokic, 98. Then Rudy Gobert at 73. I think Gobert is a lot more valuable on Fanduel because you get those extra points for blocks and steals and the position. If you're not paying up for Jokic, you have Gobert, and then nobody else that has like a ceiling. I guess Robert Williams could be a decent punt play, but I don't know if I want to, go crazy with him. But I think Gobert can still put up like 40, 45 fantasy points, and 73 is a pretty reasonable price point. So I think he looks pretty good. And that's pretty much it for the video. So thank you for watching. Appreciate it, and best of luck tonight.